Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Rise and Fall of the Soviet Union with Michael Malice on the Peterson Academy. I believe this is the 14th or 15th course now that I've completed. I'm going to stop keeping track, but I had a lot of fun with this one. I actually binged it. I watched the whole thing in one day. I believe it's 8 lectures long. Yes, 8 lectures long, but it's only 6 hours, so you can get through it rather quickly. And yeah, I can't wait to break it down for you guys today. As always, I'll go through the synopsis on the Peterson Academy website first. You guys kind of get a general overview of what the course is about. Then we'll take a look at each of the lectures' names. We'll look at the quizzes, and we'll go over the recommended books for today. And then I'll conclude with my general thoughts. So the synopsis on the Peterson Academy website. In The Rise and Fall of the Soviet Union, a 6-hour course, we undertake a profound and thought-provoking journey through the rise and fall of the Soviet Union, guided by the narrative insights of Michael Malice. From the early days of anarchism and communism to the tumultuous events that led to the collapse of the Soviet Empire, we explore the key figures, pivotal moments, and far-reaching consequences of this significant period in history. Across 8 detailed and highly descriptive lectures, we analyze the reigns of Joseph Stalin and his successors, the Cold War era, and the roles played by Western leaders and intellectuals, ultimately witnessing the dramatic fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union itself. So that gives you guys kind of a general overview of what this course is about. Michael Malice is somebody who I am quite familiar with prior to taking this course. I love when he goes on the Lex Friedman show. Those two have a terrific friendship and great chemistry. They're really a pleasure to watch. He's also been on the Jordan Peterson podcast a couple times, so I am pretty familiar with Michael Malice. I think he's a terrific person to teach this course. As I said in my professor wish list video, there are some other people that I would really like to see teach a course on the Soviet Union. And I do have a couple complaints about this course. They're a little bit nitpicky, but I want to vocalize them to you guys because there were things that I noticed that I would have liked to see done better, perhaps. So this is a six-hour course spread across 8 lectures. So it's a little bit short, in my personal opinion. Now, it's easy to crank out. I actually binged this entire thing in a day, but despite it being a pretty comprehensive history, he starts from the very beginning. He starts from the 1860s and kind of the birth of communism, the birth of anarchism, how those ideas propagated throughout society, which countries latched onto them, which countries fought against those ideas, and then obviously he gets into Russia and how the Soviet Union came about. What parts did Germany play in that in the First World War? I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen this course yet, but it was really, really fascinating to see him walk all the way through from the very beginning, all the way up to the present day, and how communism and the Soviet Union have kind of affected the world today. So that was awesome to see. It was awesome to see like a comprehensive history, but the Soviet Union's very complicated, and there's obviously been hundreds, maybe thousands of books written on the Soviet Union in that era in Russia. So for me, a comprehensive history of the Soviet Union would be a course that's somewhere between 20 and 40 hours long, not 6 hours long. But I'm also somebody who's read hundreds of books on the Soviet Union, so my standards might be a little bit higher. I didn't learn a ton from this course. There were little bits and pieces of information that were new to me, but for the most part, everything in this course I've already gone over many, many times in all of the books that I've read about this subject. So if you guys are interested in books on the Soviet Union, if you guys want like the best Stalin biographies or the best Lenin biographies or just the best books on the Soviet Union in general, let me know down in the comments and I can provide you guys a personalized list. I will be making full videos in the future of my favorite books on all of those subjects I just mentioned, but some of the videos that I want to make on the Soviet Union and the Third Reich and Mao's regime, they're going to be darker videos. I want to go into the nitty-gritty details and do those videos justice for you guys. So some of those darker videos I'm going to be putting on my Patreon just so that I can do them justice and I can go all the way in. I can't do that here on YouTube. So when I eventually have some videos on my Patreon, I'll make an announcement on this channel and you guys can go subscribe to it if you want. If you guys don't want to subscribe to the Patreon, I totally understand. I would like to make all of my content free to you guys, but some of the stuff, like I said, to do it justice, I'm going to have to put it somewhere else. So I'll probably put it on Patreon for you guys, and then you guys can go subscribe to that if you want. But that will only be for videos that I absolutely need to put on Patreon. Everything else will be free here on YouTube. So that's kind of my goal for the future with that. But Another thing that I need to complain about, unfortunately, is Michael Malice, man. A little bit too much of reading notes and looking down at the at the laptop. I found throughout he was just kind of reading off facts, reading off things that happened, and there was a lot of gazing down to his laptop, and he wasn't engaging with the students as much as I would maybe like. He didn't really walk around or, look at specific students and engage with them, kind of like some of the other professors have done. Jordan Peterson is amazing at that, one of the best in the world. But Michael Malice, perhaps because he's not a traditional professor, he struggled with that a little bit, and there was quite a bit of just reading from the laptop. So that would be my only critique with Michael Malice. Other than that, he had some bits where he was humorous, not many, not as many as you would expect from Michael Malice, actually. And there's a few moments where he teared up and got emotional and started crying, and that was cool to see because he's a pretty stone cold guy. I haven't really seen that side from him, a little bit here and there on the Lex Friedman show, but that was cool to see. And I know I've mentioned this like 3 or 4 times now that I like when teachers cry in the lectures. That makes me sound like malicious or something, but I don't know, when teachers can get that emotion going and it's real and it's authentic, it brings a level of depth to the lectures that wouldn't be there if they weren't getting to that spot. And if they get there naturally, it's awesome. And obviously that's what happened here. That's what happened with Jordan Peterson in his 2 courses. He cried in both of them. But yeah, there's something that elevates it for me when a teacher can hit those emotional tones. So I found that to be awesome. Now I'm going to go over the names of each of the lectures real quick so you guys kind of get a general overview of what each one's about. As always, you guys can pause, read the descriptions if you want. I'm not going to read through every description, but let's list off which all of the lectures here. So the first one is Revolution and Disillusion. The second lecture is Stalin's Rise to Power. The third lecture is Stalin's Paranoia Unleashed. The fourth is Poor Judgments, Harsh Realities. The sixth is The Price of Division. The fifth is The Price of Division. The sixth is Conservative Unity. The seventh is The Cold War Thaw. And the sixth is Shattering the Soviet State. So those are the names of the 8 lectures. Like I said, it's a 6-hour course, so the lectures are a little bit shorter. I think the shortest one I watched was about half an hour long. And the quizzes. So the quizzes are all 5 questions long. This is kind of the new format. The first, I think, 18 courses that came out on the Academy when it launched, they all had 10 questions per quiz. Now all of the quizzes have 5 questions per quiz, which it's growing on me, okay? Some people don't like to take that many questions after a quiz, and I get it. And I'm somebody who, now that I've taken 15 courses or whatnot, it's getting to the point where it's a lot of quiz questions for me. So I do kind of appreciate only having to do the 5 questions now. But when I first started talking about this, I liked having the 10 questions. I thought it was a little bit more comprehensive. It really got it testing your knowledge. So I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments how you guys feel about that. Do you guys like to see the 10 questions, or would you prefer the 5? The questions on the quizzes were pretty easy. Again, that's a little bit subjective because this is a subject that I am very well versed in. So I probably could have taken all of these quizzes blind and done pretty well on them. But for somebody who's not well versed in Soviet history, you might need to take some notes, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. It's not as difficult as the cosmology or neuroscience courses. Those quiz questions were a little bit more difficult. Anything else I want to say about this course? I think it's a great course to get into this history. Like if you've never read any books on the Soviet Union and you want somebody to cover it kind of in full, but not get like too caught into the details, I think this is the perfect course for you. If you've never read a book on the Soviet Union, if you've watched maybe 1 or 2 documentaries on this is probably a fantastic course for you. But if you're somebody like myself and you've read, I don't know, tens or hundreds of books on the Soviet Union, if you're kind of obsessed with this subject, this course might be a little bit lackluster for you. And like I said, Michael Malice did tend to look down to his laptop a little bit, so that made it slightly less engaging than some of the other courses on the Academy. But overall, I think it's a great course. I can't really dump on it too much. I think Michael Malice did a great job. I think he came with a great set of facts. He had a lot of interesting points in there. And if you're somebody who's not, like I said, extremely well versed in Soviet history, you're going to learn a lot from this course. He sprinkled in a lot of cool details that I've never really seen any other professor do. He kind of took it in an interesting way, and you'll have to obviously experience the course for yourself to understand what I'm talking about, but I think it's a fantastic course. So is it worth it? Absolutely. Highly recommend it. I'm going to go over the recommended books real quick, and then we'll wrap up for today. So the recommended books are The White Pill by Michael Malice, Revolution 1989, The Fall of the Soviet Empire by Victor Sebastian. I'm butchering that name. It's probably a Russian way of saying Sebastian. And Robert Conquest's The Great Terror, which I just finished rereading, actually. I highly recommend Robert Conquest's books. The Red Terror, or The Great Terror, and what was his other book? He had one on the Red Famine, too. I forget what it's called. He also has a book on Stalin, which I highly recommend. It's not my favorite Stalin biography. That would probably be the Stephen Cotton one, the third volume of which is probably coming out sometime in the new year. So if you get started on the first 2 volumes now, you might time it perfectly for when the third volume comes out. But if you want to read about Joseph Stalin, that is probably the best biography that's ever been written on him. So I highly recommend the Stephen Cotton Stalin biography. But like I said, if you guys want any lists on anything Soviet Union related, let me know down below, and I will certainly provide you guys with some lists of books or films. If you guys want some films too, I'm pretty well versed in Russian filmography too. So that's all that I have for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It helps boost this channel in the algorithm. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.